So we wanted to talk about just the idea of 80s and 90s era of anime compared to essentially 2000s and on anime. And I like the questions you added in here, but I think the first question I will ask is, do y'all feel like it's fair to have a conversation about different eras of anime?
Yeah.
Like, do you? Because I treat it just like I people all the time. They are like, well, you can't compare like Drake to like Mace or whatever, and it's like, sure, why not?
Who compares Drake to Mace?
A lot of people do. I mean, a lot of people compare Drake to like a lot of the old greats who had a lot of things in their wheelhouse, if that makes sense, vaguely.
Oh, but you think Drake is better than all those?
No, I don't. I mean, Murder Mace is untouchable.
Oh no,
like,
well, Mace. I mean, old Mace.
That's what I'm saying. Like Murder Mace. Like
Murder Mace was a monster.
Right. And so I feel like, so that's why I asked the question, because it's like, you know, is it fair to compare? Why y'all feel like it's fair to compare the two?
Yeah. Well, I think, and especially, I mean, for us, especially with three of us, because we've been anime fans for a long time.
Right.
And we've lived through both of you guys being 80s babies and me 90 on the cusp. You know, like, it's like we've both lived through all of these, like, the great eras of anime.
Right.
You know, like, from the 80s and 90s and then up through, like, the 2000s, which is where really anime kind of got international infamy.
Right.
Because, like, to that point, like, you know, because anime was like sort of hidden in small communities, and like, but it was like kind of like your guilty pleasure for a lot of folks, especially in the hood.
Yes,
like, you niggas thought you was corny if you liked anime back in the day.
Yeah, I think we had this conversation a long time ago, like where until DBZ, none of that was cool. Like none of that, like you watching cartoons, bro. Like it ain't really. Yeah, right. And even then, it's like, if you watch them on Saturday morning, keep it to yourself. Like we don't care about you watching X-Men. Like, it's fine.
No,
like,
Pokemon, excuse me.
Right, right.
Yeah, I was a nerd. I'm not.
No, for sure.
You couldn't watch Saturday morning cartoons.
I mean, you could watch them. You never could really have conversations about them.
You could have conversations about Saturday morning cartoons.
No, not really.
In 1995.
Well, I mean.
Like you was like 5, I was like 6.
All right,
yeah,
I mean,
but
like 6.
I know, but like that. My point is, it's like
I could have them. I was like 10, 11.
Right. I'm like your friend, your demographic's a little different.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, like comic books and stuff like that. You know, but I feel like anime, when it hit kind of like primetime TV, we talk about Toonami all the time.
Yep.
Even when I think about Ghost in the Shell hitting MTV, like that's when it kind of. That transition happened, and that kind of, in a way, almost bridged these two like era. Like when it got, at least
maybe
for
it's
the
where
US.
y'all grew up, because it wasn't like that here.
Really?
No, it wasn't like that here.
Explain.
Unless you was in the streets, niggas fucked with anime. Everybody watched Dragon Ball. Everybody watched the little sci-fi channel joints. Everybody like kung fu, anime, comic books. Everybody fucked with that.
Nah, that was your era. That was
what I'm saying.
That was Gen X.
That's Gen X.
The OGs.
I guess no. I'm not on the edge.
That was the Reagan era.
I'm on the edge. You said the Reagan area.
The Reagan era of anime.
Like, I mean, it wasn't like that. Like everybody, because it was kid shit. We was kids,
right?
So everybody.
No, but I think that there was. I mean, I maybe will speak to this.
Y'all wasn't the outside. Y'all outside was less than us.
I mean, I would say.
Well, you was in the South. You was always outside.
Yeah, I was like, a little different. It's like default outside. It's like
we're outside.
Like you start the game outside
with the fucking wheat joint in his mouth, looking like Tom Sawyer and shit.
Yo, Tom Sawyer go hard though, low key. Except for the
with his friend nigga Jim.
Right. But yeah, so now that we got that kind of established, let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Full long conversation. What is better? Which of the two is better? 80s, 90s, or 2000s to 2020-ish anime? What is better? And we'll get to the why, but I really want to get y'all like
Well, with the list we got, they include the movies too, which is tough. Which makes the 90s tough to beat.
Yeah, that's true.
Because the 90s movies is top tier.
That's what I was gonna bring up is that anime movies.
Yeah,
anime movies back then.
Because the 90s movies, 90s movies,
Castle in the Sky.
Yes.
Ninja Scroll, Ghost in the Shell.
Yes.
Ghost in the Shell.
Those movies are up here. 2000 movies is like mid.
Yeah, that's
super
true.
mid.
That's true.
Yeah.
Like, so if we include movies, that makes it super tough.
Yeah.
I feel like
I would include movies because nowadays, now you have a couple movies that have done really well. Like you had the Mugen Train movie.
Yeah.
The what else?
Even the first Jujutsu Kaisen movie.
The first My Hero movie was
My Hero movie.
Yeah.
But like that's the thing is I feel like anime movies have kind of been like I feel like new age anime movies have been kind of weird.
Yeah.
Like cuz you had like the old joints where like you had like really really good ones and then but like you had like series of really good anime movies.
Mm-hmm.
You know where you have folks that was just doing movies
the main difference is the movies in the 90s were usually standalone.
Yeah,
and they may come out with a series later.
That's what you're talking about. Like with the new age ones, it's almost like
it's like
they're building off the popularity of the TV show.
It's a side story or it's filler. Like the movie is filler.
Like a lot of the time, even I think because the Bleach has like 5, 4 or 5 movies.
There's way too many.
I don't have to watch any of these.
I've only seen like one of them.
Right.
And I love Bleach.
Right.
Yeah. And then Naruto has like 4 or 5 movies. Like One Piece. There's a new One Piece movie coming out sometime. Like I think it's called Red Army or something like that. Yeah, like it's supposed to be coming out later this year, next year.
Yeah,
which I'm finna see because it's One Piece. But yeah, like
then of course
isn't it a part of the actual storyline? It's supposed to be.
I don't know if it is. I don't think it is. I think it's supposed to go into Shanks a little bit. So at least that's what I heard. I don't know if that's true or not.
Yeah.
But so that could be interesting. But that's the thing too is I feel like nowadays like it's less like you're saying of a standalone thing, and it's more actually like using a movie to flesh out part of your story.
Yeah. Right.
Which, I don't know. Like I'm not like 100% on board with because I'm like if you can't tell your story in the medium you've chosen, like
why would you go outside of it to extend it? Yeah.
Because a lot of people, Jujutsu Kaisen was a little different because they did a actual like.
Yeah, they kind of needed that.
Yeah,
they did like a piece of the story that wasn't a part of anime. Like it was a whole. It was part of anime, but it wasn't part of the current anime timeline. You know,
right?
What I mean?
Yeah, and that's what I was gonna say too. Is I feel like if you're gonna do an anime movie where you do like a story that doesn't affect, so like not necessarily filler, but like. You do a story that doesn't affect your, you use different characters, So like One Piece, for example, like you go into the backstory of like one of the other new generation of pirates. You know, so you go into like Kid's backstory or you go into, or you do a movie about Zoro, and his childhood. Like, you do something where it's like not affecting the storyline necessarily, where it could be a standalone movie if you just watched it and you had never watched One Piece. Yeah. Like you do something where like, oh, that's just a fire movie.
I think, the last 2 Naruto movies, I didn't mind. The last movie and then the Boruto movie before they came out with the Boruto actual cartoon. I was good with it, but like Naruto missed. I think Naruto should have did each Ninja War as a movie because like the first 3 Ninja Wars as movies, I think it'd have been cold.
That'd be
and they would have like fleshed out everybody because nobody know why. The third Hokage was Hokage. Like he seemed very basic. Like you know what I mean. And even the second Hokage, they make him seem
that man was out there, bro.
Very basic, but those 2 dudes are supposed to be ridiculous, in canon. So, but ooh, that's.
But I think you have to include movies because
the 90s all the way.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about we're in the comparison stuff, and this is We kind of just touched on some of this, and again, this is the question you dropped in here, which I love.
Yeah,
is have modern animes sacrifice story for easier or better looking animation and easily incorporated tropes, like or maybe overly used tropes? Is that a fair characterization? How do you feel?
I would say yes and no. I don't know, like the episode we did with Cooper. Just the market is so flooded now.
Yeah.
That you can say that.
Yeah.
But like the good stuff like Jujutsu Kaisen, like Demon Slayer.
Yeah.
Story is solid and it looks great.
Yeah.
Like, so, you know what I mean? Like, Attack on Titan,
Mm-hmm.
story solid, looks great. Like, the top tier stuff, like the new One Piece stuff coming out looks great.
Yeah.
But it's almost like the top stuff is the top stuff. Like, it's like, it's not a, it's almost like those things were going to be good regardless, or like the approach of those things.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is the ratio is smaller post 2000 because of the amount of stuff coming
saturation.
out.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and I think because of the success of some of like the 90s and early 2000s animes, like, you know, when we talk about tropes, like you have especially isekai.
Yeah.
Like Sao, Sword Art Online for the uninitiated.
Yeah.
Sao, like, basically created a monster in the anime genre in general, in the anime sphere in general, by like throwing isekai at the wall and being like, yo, this is it. And like, don't get me wrong, I love Sao.
Yeah.
Like,
that's a good show.
Yeah, it's a good show. I love it. And as far as isekai goes, it's definitely earned its place as one of the best isekais.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, because isekai is such an easy, it's so easy.
Yeah.
You know, like it's so easy. You know, oh, fantasy world. Yeah. Reincarnation. Like,
fantasy world.
You know, yeah. Truck-kun. You get hit and you die. You know. Yeah, exactly. You have to be so creative when in that genre to have something that sticks out. Yeah. You know, so I think about, like, and you haven't seen it yet, but like how to reincarnate as a slime. Yeah. For me, it's great because it has a lot of, it's funny. It has tropes, but at the same time, it like kind of makes fun of them at the same time.
Right.
So you hit on all the major isekai tropes, but it makes fun of them in a fun way. And I think about, even to some degree, like Tokyo Revengers is an isekai.
Yeah, it is. It pretty much is. It's like
because he dies.
Almost.
Yeah, like he dies.
It's like an isekai without the magic.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. So like, you know, you have to be really creative nowadays in creating a story, because if you don't have a unique story that really hits quickly, the market will lose interest and your story will never get serialized. Your story will never get animated. And then your story will fall into the waste bin of the millions of other people's ideas that have fallen by the wayside just because of this, like you said, like Cooper said, the oversaturation of the market. Yeah.
And it's like and this is the Chris voice of like, well, of course, if technology gets better, if more people enter the market, of course it's going to be oversaturated. I think, and the pushing back at the invisible Chris, is that I think the difference is if I think, again, I'm a person that we just had a whole basketball / hip hop conference. I have no problem comparing two things from two different eras and being like, this is whack, this is good, all right? Or being like, we have a whole bracket, you know, our playoff bracket where certain things will go against one another or whatnot. And I think like my concern, if we don't start kind of separating some of these or creating some separation, it's all going to be very overly used tropes, very similarly looking animation, and kind of like the same generic storyline. Like, again, that's why, and I love Bleach, and I think the Jujutsu Kaisen is real, but that's why both of them exist within the same like 10, 15 years. So like, it's like, what do y'all think about that? Like, do y'all feel like that's a valid concern to worry about the oversaturation that exists post the 80s, 90s? Obviously, the 80s, 90s, there's a novelty thing. There's more time spent on certain animes. There's like, we just reviewed Samurai Champloo and Cowboy Bebop a while back, right? And there's a different approach. There's more time spent on it. There's more put into the story. And now it's like a couple of animes get that treatment, but like you said, everybody else pretty much gets that copy and paste treatment.
I think the big thing is, and especially if you look at like Shonen Jump, you have a very short window where you have to make something like catch people's attention before it gets dropped for being unpopular, or unpopular just because people don't really mess with it. You know, versus back in like the 80s, 90s, like just due to the fact that you had less to choose from, like it seemed like everything new was fresh. You know, like it seemed like, You know, like when Gundam came out when we were kids, you know, like on TV, you know, or
shout out Chris, who loves
mech anime. So like, yeah, well, like Gundam, and then, you know, you think about, like, you know, we talked about Cowboy Bebop, and like Brittany suggested Trigun, which I haven't watched yet, but Trigun was another one.
I gotta start rewatching that.
Okay, I was like, I gotta start that because I gotta make sure we finish it by July or whatever.
Yep. And so like, Trigun was another one that, you know, obviously was very popular back in the day, you know, and I think too, you know, you have a lot of these old animes that like the animation style is like, it's classic in the way that some of them hold up really well, some of them don't hold up that well, but like the story is so good, and the nostalgia is there that you're like, oh,
it's certain old ones
mess
where
with this.
It holds up like a Disney animated from the like early 90s, like Aladdin, Lion King, like something like that. It's like, oh, this still...
like, because even now, right, even with the Disney movies, there are like newer age Disney movies. They're not gonna stick like that. Like I was, don't ask me why. For work purposes, I had to print out coloring pages of Disney characters. Again, don't ask me why. But like, as I'm going through and I'm looking, I'm like, Aladdin, Princess, all those different Princess Jasmine, Snow White, Bella, all of them stick. I don't think that none of the newer,
not in the same way.
Not in the same way.
Not in the same way. Like Encanto's good. Like Moana was really good.
Moana was great.
Like the last like cultural icon thing that Disney put out was probably Toy Story.
Right.
That's that's like a part of the culture.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? It's not Toy Story is something separate than it's a Pixar movie. They did a good Pixar movie. Like I think Toy Story was the last like cultural phenomenon that was like it's hard to explain because like Encanto was really good.
Oh yeah, without
the sound, you know, the soundtrack does numbers. Moana the same way, but they were just good. They weren't like iconic.
That's what I think.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The thing I will say about like, well, you had a point where it's like there were less, and so everything seemed fresh. But it's almost like some of those are iconic in that same way for animes at least. Like, is there? And we have some good anime that exists post 2000. But is a higher percentage of like producing them, is that going to produce more iconic ones, or because of like, do we feel like it's lesser quality, or is it going to be greater, you know, a chance of more iconic ones sticking?
No, and I think it's because it's the same thing with type of, like the music.
Yeah.
Even if you put out a classic album, the cycles go so fast, it's not. It won't stick.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, like, it's the same with athletics too.
You know, like,
there's always another new great athlete to replace one that retires.
Without a doubt.
Always.
Yeah. Like, there's no more. Like, so the cycle's too quick. So like Naruto's already being pushed to the side for, I mean, just for the follow up Boruto and. Demon Slayer, AOT, like so Naruto's already being pushed to the side. The only one that's really staying up is One Piece because it's still going. Yeah, you know what I mean. But Jujutsu Kaisen's not gonna have staying power once it's over. Demon Slayer is gonna just be the next thing. Yeah, you know, like when like Akira came out, Akira is still Akira right now.
Yeah,
you know,
that art, the art from
it's like a staple of like an anime, like what must do. Yeah, like it's because it was unique in and of itself. There was nothing before that. There's nothing after it, and anything after is gonna be trying to be like a kid.
Yeah, and you're saying because large in parts because the cycle is
because the cycle's so
like you just said with athletics as well.
I mean, in the media too, like people's talking about the next thing constantly.
Yeah,
like AOT, what them pushing the end of season. Yeah, we did something, but. Jujutsu Kaisen, not even done yet, and we're already on to Spy Family.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
Like they're not even existing in the same really space as far as like being talked about. Yeah. People aren't talking about this and that. They're just talking about the next thing. Yeah. You know what I mean? And pushing that.
Well, man, that's kind of bleak. But let me so first I'll ask these last two.
Whippersnappers, man.
Weber snappers. Right? Let's go first. Let's do favorite anime from the 80s, 90s era. And then we'll do 2000 on after that. But favorite anime from 80s, 90s era, or at least the one that was most impactful. It doesn't even have to be like, oh, this was the most quality anime or whatever. It could just be like, I like this, you know?
Yeah. I think for me, my favorite 80s, 90s era anime that is done is Rurouni Kenshin.
Yeah.
Like, that's my favorite. Like, the Rurouni Kenshin has been in my top 3 favorite animes, like, since I became an anime fan.
Yeah.
You know, and I think, I mean, obviously One Piece. One Piece is the GOAT. So, One Piece for sure. And then, like, the 2010s, I mean, it would so I was looking this up too. It's weird because Bleach obviously is the 2000s. Yeah, because I think it came out in 2004. I think something like that. When it was, or 2001, something like that. Early 2000s. But Naruto is weird because Naruto, the first volume or the first like chapter that was released was like the end of 99, like literally like September of 99. So it's like
we'll count that as 2000.
Right. Yeah, I was like, not really, truly, and that's like a baby born in December 1999. Like you not a 90s baby. Like we don't claim you.
That's funny.
So I would argue that Rudo is a 2000s anime, but that's hard because like there's so much stuff nowadays where I feel like my catalog of what I consider really good from the 80s 90s is smaller.
Yeah.
And like things that I've watched from that era is less than what I've watched from post 2000. Yeah. But again, that's just because there's more availability now post 2000. Yeah. Me streaming platforms, all these different things now, you know. So it was harder to get a hold of stuff back when we were kids. Yeah. So we just didn't have the same.
Yeah, you either only caught it on TV or you had to just randomly catch a manga if you could.
Right. Or go.
Because Amazon wasn't a thing like that.
Suncoast or something.
Yeah, I was like, because you couldn't. Yeah, you go to internet wasn't like great for manga and anime back then.
Yeah,
the internet wasn't great for anything.
Right. Right. Except dial up. You know, that was about it.
But if I had to pick one post 2000s, I would probably pick Naruto. Probably pick Naruto. Because I mean, Naruto was like the first manga that I read, so it's got a special place in my heart.
Yeah, man, it's hard. And I asked the question. I'll go give you time, but I think I was thinking about this because it's easier for me to be like Cowboy Bebop. Yeah. But I'll go out on the limb because there is one that and this also make Chris mad, but there is one that I watched. I watched it so much that I bought a PS2 game, like an iteration of it, and that's Mobile Suit Gundam. Like that was, and like looking back, it wasn't like an amazing show. Yeah. It was just the first time I'd ever seen anything like that, experienced any mech like style anime. Because like Gundam Wing is cool and all that stuff, but it's too cool. It's like they're doing too much with these like machines, and I think the Mobile Suit Gundam is interesting because, at least in the story, like the early storyline of Mobile Suit Gundam is that this is the first time that they're even experiencing this kind of technology. So it's working how they want it to work. It's also not. It's causing havoc every single where. So I think it's like almost like a. It's they do more with the storyline than that now that I remember it, but I'll go and throw that out there. And then dropped it. The original one dropped in '79, so I guess this is technically outside of like the.
I feel like I'm gonna have to say Speed Racer just to one up you,
right? Which is also decent, but so I'll throw Mobile Suit Gundam. As far as after, man, obviously I'll Bleach is the auto, Bleach, right? But because I mean. I talk about Bleach all the time, but I think all shows do this where they have different people, side characters have a very interesting set of skill set and powers and stuff like that. But I just feel like Bleach did a really cool job of like anytime anybody new came on the screen, something crazy was gonna happen, and it was gonna be unsuspected. Like it was gonna be like the spider come on the scene. They're created. In hell, essentially. And Ichigo's like, all right, I'm nice, But this dude has a hole in his chest. It can do a whole other set of things I can't do.
Well, I think even just every new captain they introduced was dope. Like, because the captains were dope characters. Like, they each had unique powers and like their squads were different.
To that point first.
No, that's you'll like once you because apparently that's a chore for you. Once you get through that to that point where that he kind of breaks through and then he starts fighting like everybody's nicer than him. Like it's like, yo, I gotta figure out what's going on here.
Bro, that fight with him and Kenpachi.
Y'all, he was like, this dude just like fighting.
Trying, right?
He don't even want to fight to kill me. He just wants to fight to beat me forever. Like that's almost worse. Like, bro, I just wanted to get the one up.
You like Kenpachi because he would have been on your hands for everybody. Crew.
Yes,
like Kenpachi would have been on your crew hands down if you would have watched.
I've seen Kenpachi clips.
Yeah. Kenpachi's that dude in Bleach, and the fact that he has a Bankai now,
bruh. Which is, I can't.
That's
wait.
not right.
That's
not right.
Because he was already low key.
He was already way overpowered. Yeah, right. And now it's just like, this is not even fair anymore.
No, I can't wait. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead through Bleach because come on, man, why not?
It's Bleach.
Okay. If we're including movies,
go for it.
Pre-2000 Ninja Scroll, hands down.
That was good.
Still go. I watch it just because sometimes, even to this day.
I thought you would have picked Fist of the North Star.
I do like Fist of the North Star, but Ninja Scroll, Akira, and Ghost in the Shell's first 3 animes I've watched outside of like Speed Racer,
right?
And Dragon Ball was on TV for like a very short time.
Yeah.
Like,
but Dragon Ball was
early 90s.
A little wonky though.
Yeah, Dragon Ball.
I mean, it was bad.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I mean, it was old. I mean, Dragon Ball was like early 80s.
Yeah,
right. People forget Dragon Ball Z is like.
That's like
late 80s. It's like 88, 89.
Right. Yeah. Hence the music, you know.
Right. So it's not like, but yeah, Ninja Scroll hands down. Post 2000. That's a hard one. I did binge watch Naruto when I had insomnia, a bout of insomnia. So that might be my default.
Yeah.
I do tend to like the smaller stuff now, like Odd Taxi.
Yeah, I could appreciate people tabling a series in like 13, 15 episodes, or even 20.
What wasn't Champloo 2003?
Yeah, Samurai Champloo was like that.
So yeah. So I mean, but I probably go Naruto just because that was like the first. That was like literally like the first post 2000 anime I actually sat down and watched, and I was like, what, in 08? I think I was watching that.
Yeah.
No. After that. It might have been like 2014. I was watching it.
Yeah, nah. I think that's a good pick. I think I like that pick. Yeah, man. I like talking about this just because I feel like both of those. I mean, in our group, but for people who watch this, like I don't know, y'all could drop comments. Like, do y'all like 80s, 90s,
old school
animes?
Over everything?
Yeah. Do you like 80s, 90s anime more than the current stuff? Which ones do you like more?
Biggie, Pac, Jay, and Nas over everybody. Michael Jordan over everybody.
Right.
Yu Yu Hakusho beat Black Clover.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Rules
there
apply
we go.
across all genres. Old school over everything.
Exactly. But so I don't know. I'm excited to see what the Shonen Playoff will bring. And please comment, what was your favorite 80s, 90s anime movie?
And ask for suggestions too.
Yes.
Yeah, if you want to get see some good old stuff, we'll throw some out there.
We'll get you.
Because I forget if you're born in 2000, you're 22 now. So so you missed a lot.
That hurt.
So you missed a lot.
He hurt. Yeah, that hurts.
Oh man,
Y2K babies.
Right. Oh my gosh. Anyways, y'all know the slogan: stay colorful. Peace.